Hi, my name is Daria, and I am going to be discussing this PowerPoint presentation on the subject of diabetes mellitus type 2 cause and effects. Diabetes is at an epidemic rate in this country, and so it is imperative that it gets addressed because it is ruining people's life, health, and it's killing people. So, first question is, what is diabetes mellitus 2? What causes it? Scientists are still studying the varied and complex causes of this disease, but they all agree on these three leading candidates. One being obesity. Studies show that excess weight and fat, especially if it's distributed in the abdomen, increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. And secondarily, we have the sedentary lifestyle. People have sitting disease, and they are far more prone to developing diabetes. The third, poor dietary habits. A diet high in fats and low in fiber increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Unfortunately, we have far too many choices of those kinds of foods. So let's look at all of these one at a time. First of all, obesity. The Obesity Society states that almost 90% of people with type 2 diabetes are overweight. That is a significant statistic. It really shows that carrying that extra body weight and body fat goes hand in hand with the development of type 2 diabetes. Being overweight puts added pressure on your body's ability to properly control blood sugar. Your pancreas has to work harder. It has to produce more and more insulin. Anything that gets overused and abused is likely to get weak or break down, and that makes it much more likely for the individual to develop diabetes. Second, sedentary lifestyle. There's some facts here from the National Diabetes Information Clearinghouse stating that more glucose is used by muscle than other tissues. So active muscles burn their stored glucose and then they get a refill from the glucose in the bloodstream, and that helps keep blood sugar levels in balance. Exercise also helps muscle absorb more glucose without the need for insulin. The more muscle a body has, the more glucose it can burn to control blood sugar levels. So, if we think about the opposite of these statements, if a person does not use their muscles, if they have more fat in their body than muscle, their body is going to have a harder time keeping a balance because the muscles are not burning it up. Moving along to poor dietary habits. Less than healthy food choices sabotage good health, and they will make any health issue you have worse. So it's no different with developing diabetes. If a person has a high intake of foods that are rich in sugars, it forces the pancreas to produce more insulin to cope with the blood glucose. An excess of foods rich in calories and fats contributes to obesity, another cause of diabetes. So you are also tired from eating all that rich food, and you are less apt to be active. So diet is very important. So summing up, obesity, a sedentary lifestyle, and poor dietary habits are a devil's triangle, contributing to significantly higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And it all starts with insulin resistance. We may ask, what is insulin resistance? Again, the exact cause is still being studied. But again, scientists think the major contributors are excess weight and physical inactivity. To understand a little bit about what insulin resistance is, we have this little diagram here. The one on the left, as we're looking at the screen, shows the normal process where the glucose is going in, somebody's had a nice meal, the pancreas is adding the yellow dots of insulin, they're mixing in the bloodstream, and the insulin is helping the glucose permeate the membrane of the artery and feed all the cells, and everything is going along wonderfully. In the picture on the right, it's a little bit different. We've got the glucose going in, we've got the insulin going in, and we can see that there's a lot more insulin, but not very much glucose is coming out of the artery to feed the cells. It stays in the blood. The body is resistant to the effects of the insulin. That can't be a good thing. So, again, some experts believe obesity, especially excess fat around the waist, is a primary cause of insulin resistance. There have been discoveries that are amazing. They show that fat tissue is not just energy storage. It can function as a producer of hormones and other substances that cause serious health problems, such as insulin resistance. Studies show that after exercising, muscles become more sensitive to insulin, reversing insulin resistance and lowering blood glucose levels. So physical inactivity has the opposite reaction and is associated with this insulin resistance. So there we have our culprits again, obesity and sedentary lifestyle. How do you know if you're insulin resistant or have diabetes type 2? Well, it's not easy. Diabetes type 2 has often no signs or symptoms until permanent damage is done. Therefore, it is imperative to discuss the matter with a physician, have regular checkups and lab tests. They will determine if glucose levels exceed normal parameters. Normal parameters are at a fasting stage 70 to 100, and then 2 hours after a meal less than 140. How serious is this disease? What damage is common? So we have a visual here again, and it helps us to see that excess blood sugar is detrimental on everything it touches. And since it's in the blood, it touches everything. One of the things that happen is that plaque begins to build up in the veins and arteries. Proper blood flow is reduced. That it has an adverse effect on all body systems. They're not getting fed. Pieces of that plaque can break off and float loose and come to a tiny little capillary in the brain, get stuck, and block the blood flow to that area, killing the cells, causing, again, what we call a stroke. Kidneys are stressed. They have to filter more blood than usual in an attempt to restore normal blood glucose levels. Damage accumulates until renal shutdown occurs. You can't live without your kidneys very long. Your eyes are more susceptible to glaucoma, cataracts, and diabetic retinopathy, which is the leading cause of blindness in diabetics. Nerves are damaged. Again, things are not getting fed properly because the glucose is not coming out of the blood. So with the damaged nerves, people either experience excessive pain for seemingly no reason or numbness. Excuse me, we have to back up one. We're ready for a little good news, and here it is. type 2 diabetes can be avoided entirely, or once it's diagnosed, it can be partially or fully reversed. How does that happen? We're saying it again, at the risk of being extremely repetitive, it's all about maintaining or reestablishing a healthy weight. It is about staying or becoming regularly active. The goal is 30 to 45 minutes of cardiovascular or weight-bearing exercise 5 times a week. That recommended time period can be broken down into several smaller sessions per day and still be beneficial if that is what works for a person. Maintaining or reestablishing the habit of choosing healthy foods the majority of the time. Those 3 things help us avoid or reverse the effects of type 2 diabetes. So, that's great advice. It's easy to give. We all know it's not so easy to follow. With exercise and losing weight, the key is starting small. But absolutely we need to start. Make an active start. This is a lifestyle change for the rest of our life, not a crash diet and exercise program. If we go at it like these guys are in the picture here, we're going to get discouraged. And we might even cause ourselves an injury, which will take a person out of the exercise picture for a time. And then it's going to be even harder to get back in. So start slow, build up. Consult with a doctor. That's very wise before starting any exercise program. We want to choose enjoyable activities. Start slowly, gradually building up intensity and duration. We have some pictures here of a woman doing some type of maybe Pilates. Looks maybe relaxing. We have a dad out here playing with his son. They're rollerblading, being active together. And we have a very contented man spending some quality time with himself, doing some fast walking, maybe jogging. And as far as diet, again, it's the majority of the time we want to choose tasty, healthy foods. It doesn't have to be things we hate. So look around at what the healthy foods are. Maybe do a little research and pick what you like and that you will most likely stick with long term. Now this might sound strange, but I'm going to say limit, but do not eliminate fats and treats. Why? Because a lifestyle needs a little fun once in a while, but not every day. These are your sometimes foods, not your everyday foods. And then part of the picture is healthcare providers. They are your friends in the battle against developing diabetes or controlling or even reversing the condition. Get regular checkups for blood and urine tests to make sure that those blood sugar levels are where they belong. Summing up, with regular exercise, a healthy diet, and proper medical care, you may be able to eliminate the threat of diabetes completely from your life. Wouldn't that be great? And look at the smiles on their faces. Thank you for listening to my presentation. It was a challenging yet enjoyable task. And I will say goodbye and good night.